Manchester United, the new Manchester United chief executive Richard Arnold has said at a fans forum that he respects fans' right to protest at Old Trafford, even going into next season, but he hopes the arrival of Erik ten Hag will see some kind of a change in attitude. In other words, what would be the point? How constructive or productive would it be if, as has been threatened by some fans group, they will carry on to next season with a relentless and consistent stream of protests against the Glazers, the owners of the club, next season? Is that going to benefit anybody? Now, the new man is in town, Erik ten Hag. Now, the communications director of Manchester United Supporters Trust, Chris Rumfitt, joins us live. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Morning, Chris.
We're very well, Chris. Thank you for taking time out and joining us this morning. First of all, and a general one, Ten Hag, you having him? Are you pleased about the appointment?
Yeah, I think so. Look, we've got to be optimistic after the absolutely disastrous season we had last year. There's only one way to look, and that's forward. And he comes with good pedigree from Ajax, and we keep our fingers crossed.
Now, am I right in thinking that you yourself, Chris, were on this fans forum when this topic of protests was discussed? Can you share it with us?
I was in the meeting. What I would say is, it was one of the first times I've ever actually felt that the senior management of the club get just how bad things are at Manchester United and how bad. How fans feel. I did actually feel that Richard Arnold I felt like he got it. I felt like he got just what an utterly miserable season it was for us, and just how frustrated we all are. Whether that translates into the action needed to restore Manchester United to where we think the club should be is another matter. But I do actually think Richard and his senior team get the problem.
So, I mean...
Sorry, can I just qualify what the problem is?
Well, the problem is that we have been in decline. We've just come sixth, despite spending a lot of money last summer.
But what's the bigger problem? We know where you finished in the league, and we know the decline of Man United, but the overarching problem is what?
Well, I mean, ultimately, it's the performance on the field and decline of the club off the field. And the ownership is I assume what you're getting.
I've always been told the two things aren't interlinked. It's not to do with the pitch; it's to do with the owners. The owners are the problem. I thought that was a central theme.
Yeah, no, absolutely, of course.
So the guy that works for the owners gets that, does he? And he's going to take that message back to the owners. You're the problem. I've got it from the fans. I understand their point of view. So really and truly, you guys need to go.
Simon, you're putting words in my mouth. That wasn't what I meant.
I don't understand what he's got then.
I think he understands how unhappy we are, just how big the problems are at the club, and the need to turn them round. Now, whether he puts in place what's needed to do so, we shall see. We've got a managerial appointment. He needs to be backed with money. We also want to see investment in the stadium, which has been decaying for the last 2 decades. So there's stuff off the field too, but I do feel the senior management team are seized by just how bad things are.
You see, there are those who would argue, and I don't know where you stand on this, Chris, that the Glazers have never been backward in terms of coming forward, in terms of backing with money.
Well, I wouldn't accept that at all. The Glazers have taken hundreds of millions of pounds, if not more, out of the club over the last 17 years. There has been investment. They've never invested any of their own money. There has been expenditure, but Manchester United is an extremely successful.
Can I ask you to put aside? Can I ask you to put aside what the Glazers have taken out of the club, which is, I know, is a central bugbear, and I understand it. And I'm not seeking to discredit your argument, but I understand they've also taken a lot from interest payments and a lot from dividends, and I get that, right? But what is it, and I know you're going to say Carrington and they could do more with the stadium, but on the pitch stuff, what is it that Manchester United have not done that they could have done to match the spend power, given they have matched the spend power of all the other clubs?
On the playing side, spending on the playing side has been stop-start. It's been sporadic. Whenever we've had a good season, The season Mourinho won 3 trophies. We then didn't spend a penny the next summer. They get to a level, come in second or third, and seem to be happy with that. They're not willing to spend the money to go to the next level. The second point I would make is we make a lot more money than some of these other clubs. We should be spending more than them, because as a proportion of our revenue, we are underspending compared to some of those clubs, or rather we have been on a consistent basis. Last summer was different. Money was spent last summer. There's no complaints about last summer. We need to see the same again this summer, particularly given we've got 5 or 6 first-team players on more than £100,000 a week, all going out the door, all out of contract. So there should be money to spend big this summer to back the new manager.
Is that fair, Simon? I think that is fair, isn't it? I mean, Chris knows his stuff on that one.
Well, I've looked at Manchester United's spend over the last half a decade, and they have spent as much, if not more, than all of their rivals. And all of their rivals have reached or been very close to Manchester United's turnover. So the argument that Manchester United's turnover is dwarfing other teams that are spending as much or more is not there anymore, because if you look at Manchester City's results last year, with £591 million in turnover, they are exceeding what Manchester United are doing, and they're not spending as much in transfer fees. And it isn't quite as sporadic, because you've got to take things in the rounds over 5 years. Ferguson didn't spend money all the time. Ferguson spent money when he felt he needed to, and it wasn't every single season, and it wasn't always at the top end of the spend pattern of all the other football clubs.
Most of the time, though, he enhanced the team.
He did.
Yes,
the 11 out
he
on the
did.
pitch.
And you would have thought buying Jadon Sancho would have enhanced the team. You would have thought the signings that they bought last year would have enhanced the team, but it hasn't.
Chris, tell us, on behalf of the fans, are we going to be seeing relentless and consistent protests going into next season?
I don't think there's anybody... Any United fan who wants to undermine the new manager and the team at the start of next season and wants to give them every support and encouragement in the stadium. That said, the fundamental problems have not gone away. So in my view, there was a balance to be struck. But those people who have been protesting over recent games have my full support. And indeed, I've joined some of those protests. I think at the start of next season, my view is likely the focus will be more outside the stadium rather than inside, where we need to give as big a boost to the new manager and the new team as possible. I think there's a balance to be struck, though.
Yeah.
And look, I will support any United fan who makes their voice heard, as long as it's done in a lawful, peaceful way.
Yeah, I mean, even outside the stadium, though, is that constructive at a time that Ten Hag is wanting the slate wiped clean?
Look, football fans are going to want to have their voice heard, and is it constructive? Is it not? I don't know. What I do know is I will support their right to do so. I'm not the boss of United fans. I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm not going to criticise other fans for what they.
Yeah, but Chris, you'd agree with me if Ten Hag and the players suddenly string together 6 straight wins at the start of the season, you lot will stop protesting.
But the Manchester United Supporters Trust has been working to get a bigger voice for Manchester United fans and a degree of ownership for 17 years. In that time, we've won league titles, we've won Champions Leagues. We have never stopped. Does it make a difference in the ground? Of course it does. I'm not unrealistic.
Yeah.
But the idea that we win a couple of games and shut up, for us, is not true. The whole green and gold campaign came when we were reigning champions of Europe.
But the object of the aim, is to change ownership, no matter what these guys do, right or wrong, right? And I understand your reasons, because I don't like the way Burnley was bought. I don't like people not using their own money to own an asset and then taking the benefit. So I get your grievances. But how are you going to change the ownership? Because you've just seen Chelsea go for £2.5 billion. You're going to be talking about Manchester United at near to £4 billion. Where is the solution to this circle that you're trying to square?
The object we are working to now is to get a bigger voice for fans in the running of the club, irrespective of who the majority owners are. And our principal vehicle is to... are you
going to buy that bigger share? Chris, is it something that you're going to acquire, or is it something that you expect the fans to be given? I've got no view on this. I'm just asking you.
In terms of shares,
Yeah.
we expect to buy them. Yeah, we expect to buy the shares.
So what do you consider to be an influence? 10%? 5%?
I mean, we've talked about this before, Simon. I think over time, we would like to work up to that sort of proportion. An initial share offering is likely to be significantly smaller than that, and we will build up an ownership stake over time. We need to start from where we're at, which is 0.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see where that.
Do you think that's workable? 10% ownership for the fans.
If they've got
is that unreasonable?
If they've got 500 million,
that's the debt currently, isn't it? At the club?
If they've got 500 million to be able to advance to buy the equity in that business, then of course it's reasonable if the Glazers want to allow that to happen.
But
if they've got 50 million pounds,
but they won't.
But they won't. And so I try to work out what is the constructive aim of barking at a moon, because the Glazers aren't going to change. And he's absolutely right, Chris, because he knows it far better than you and I put together. They have been against them since day one, but their voices have got more and more louder the less the achievements are. And then what they do is say it's not about achievements, it's about ownership. It's about achievement.
I mean, logic would tell the neutral here, Chris, get behind the team and only do that, because the Glazers are showing no signs whatsoever of departing the premises.
Yeah, look, we will always get behind the team. We've got the best fan base in the world, in my view, and we will always get behind the team, and you will see that in August. We believe and have always believed we're able to do the two things in parallel, which is to make our unhappiness with what the owners have done clear, whilst also supporting the team, and that's what we're going to be trying to do in August.
Do you think United stand any chance of finishing higher than Liverpool or City next season?
No, that's the honest answer. I hate to give it, but we are so far behind them. Frankly, if it wasn't for De Gea and Ronaldo, we would have been where Everton were this season.
Okay,
about that.
Chris Rumfitt, that's maybe a bit sweeping, but we appreciate your honesty. Chris is the Communications Director of the Manchester United Supporters Trust. We shall see if the protests loom earlier on in the season.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.